and the world mourns. Just a day after the Easter celebration, the Pope passed on at the age of 88, and the world is mourning. And the underlying word that I'm seeing across the world is the service to humanity. It's, again, a clarion call to everyone that you would pay the supreme price of death. But again, what lives on is your legacy. What legacy are you living on today? What are you doing now to touch humanity? What would you be remembered for when you are gone? That is one thing that I would love you to really think through as you reflect on the death of Pope. Welcome, everyone. This is the morning show on Signature TV. I'm Charles Pius. We're back after the short break for the headlines on the dailies. We kickstart on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. On the Daily Trusts, the screaming headlines: Kano Kasina Jigawa gets 2-hour power supply daily. With the rider, small businesses suffer losses. KEDC blames outage on system upgrade. Pope Francis: what happens when a pope dies? 137 cardinals to choose new pontiff. After 19 days, Tinubu returns from France and UK trips. 5 dead, 13 injured as truck rams into procession in Gombe. All the details on the Daily Trust. And now over to the Blueprints newspaper. On the Blueprint this morning, Ghanaian Cardinal, 9 others in line as Pope Francis dies at 88. With the writer, Tinubu, Buhari, other world leaders mourn. He was a towering figure of faith and mercy, says the Christian Association of Nigeria. Plateau under siege, 3,000 lost to attacks since 2015, says Muthwang. Ganduje rallies diaspora support for Tinubu, inaugurates Exco in France. All right, all the details you can find on the Blueprint newspaper. Let's move over now to the Nation newspaper. On the Nation this morning, IMF urges nations with huge debts to seek restructuring. With the writer, Jibo tackles agency on reforms comments. NNPCL slashes petrol pump price to 880 naira per litre. US adjusts visa request procedure for applicants. EFCC arrests 2 suspects over 1.3 trillion naira CBEX scam. Britain, 4 others indicted. All the details you can find. Bye Pope Francis. World mourns humble pontiff, the Vatican head of state. IG raises probe panel on Natasha's threats to life, allegation against Akpabio. All of the details you can find on the Nation. And now over to the Guardian newspaper. On the Guardian this morning, manufacturers groan as alternative energy gulps 1.1 trillion naira in 1 year. It's on page 6. Tributes for man of humility. Pope for the poor as Vatican awaits new leader. Pope Francis, 1936 to 2025. Moro accuses Tinubu of ignoring Senate insecurity resolutions. Adeleke decries arson of Ilesa High Court, orders probe. Fubara supporters await recall, say Tinubu acted in reverse interests. Fubara supporters await recall, say Tinubu acted in reverse interest. Group alleges killing of 20,300 persons, 19,000 churches, schools destroyed in the southeast. All the details you can find in the Guardian. 2027, Obi could be president under PDP, says Showumi. Top 5 Nigerian banks gross 7.3 or 17.3 trillion naira, grow profits by 60%. Top 5 Nigerian banks gross 17.3 trillion naira grow profit by 60%. Mutfwang digs into root of insecurity as Aliyah decries herder's siege. All the details you can find on The Guardian. And now to the Punch newspaper. On the Punch, Tinubu to meet service chiefs over rising killings. President returns from UK, France. Presidency blames governors for worsening insecurity. Protests in Jos. UK records 22,000 Nigerian asylum seekers. Japa. Federal government targets ghost workers in fresh payroll audits. Electricity failures inflates manufacturers' generator bill to 1 trillion naira. Interesting. Tinubu world leaders mourn as Pope Francis dies at 88. I didn't interfere in Alaafin selection, says Makinde. Lagos launches probe as building collapse, deaths hits 7. Rivers Fubara's backers to go spiritual. And now to the Nigerian Tribune. World leaders, others pay tribute as Pope Francis dies at 88. He died from stroke or heart failure, says Vatican. His life and times from a bouncer to papacy, those who may succeed him. You can find the details on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Plateau Forest grazing reserves now occupied by bandits, says Mutfwang. Jonathan regrets inability to end Nigeria's suffering, says commitment to peace remains unshaken. Grandson of popular Ondo musician Comfort Omoge killed by scavenger. Disquiet in APC over Tinubu's deal with Kwankwaso. Party chieftains click as against automatic ticket for new entrants. And now finally to the Daily Times. Bandits impose 16 million naira on 12 Zamfara communities. Indeed, bandits impose 60 million naira on 12 Zamfara communities. Khan leads protest in Jos over headsman killing of 150 villagers. Atiku, Abbas, Lawan, Kalu pay tribute as Pope Francis dies at 88. Okay, and now my comments on North. Your response is lazy. Baba Ahmed stamps on Anuga. Nigerian Correctional Service denies bomb explosion in Maiduguri prison. Tension mounts in Delta over alleged murder of Governor Obovovori's aide. Tension mounts in Delta over alleged murder of Governor Obovovori's aide. All the details on the Daily Times newspaper. And now we're back to the studio. Chris Manuka joins us for the interesting discourse as it relates to the headlines on our dailies this morning. Good morning, Chris. Good to have you.
Good morning, Charles. And good morning, the world. We're back here again by the grace of God. We are just coming back from the euphoria of Easter celebration. Yes, Charles. Here we are.
Indeed. Well, the Easter celebration just ended yesterday, and then just yesterday, the Pope passed on at the age of 88. I know he's been ill for some time now, and it was just that it was about time that he goes to meet his maker.
Yes, Pope Francis, may his soul rest in peace, has joined the Saint Triumphant. His death is significant because he died actively serving the Lord who called him to service. He gave his Easter homily and blessed the people through the papal window as usual, and then few hours later he was declared dead. And you know, from the little I read about how a pope is declared dead, once the pope remain inactive, there is a particular cardinal that will come and call Pope 3 times as he lay. He will call him Pope Francis. Pope Francis call him for the 3rd time. If he doesn't respond, he will be declared dead. And that's no post-mortem, nothing. There's nothing there. The Pope dies after that. So the culture of the Vatican and of course the culture of papacy has been there for as long as we can remember. The church traced papacy to the apostle of Christ, that's Peter, who is the head of apostles, and on the rock that Jesus built his ministry. So we are just saying that he died like a saint. And the few testimonials and what people have saying about him, that is a man of humility, and has earned the name as Pope for the poor. There were a few radical things that he tried to change or happened during his time. And people will see this way, whenever things are happening on time, they're waiting for looking at the horse's mouth to say. So a lot of people were looking at Pope when the issue of LGBTQ came up, where he will say, and almost a lot of people went away with this, different understanding that Pope Francis was supporting, transgender and all the useless things that has. But he was also protecting the church. He was called to protect. Now, if you pursue all the sinners away from the church, so you come to church every day preaching to the saints. So that was the angle that Pope Francis was looking at the LGBTQ. Is like, if anybody, you are called to bless people, and somebody comes and say, bless, you bless the person. What I didn't get him say, for instance, is to marry a man and woman at the altar of God, and he didn't say that, but he was like, if they are among the congregation, you shouldn't pursue them away. You can only, by preaching and talking to them, you win them over, because Christ even himself said, I came for the sinners, not for the saints. So may his soul rest in peace, and may the angels of heaven, like I always say, sing him to sleep, because Pope Francis died as a saint. In fact, it might not, the Vatican might not go through like if you ask me to say, might not go through the whole process of how to make people saint. And his life, he has the name of a saint, St. Francis, and then he died like one in active service, having just finished performing very crucial Christian function of Easter, which is very, 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 very critical in the Christian faith. Absolutely. And then lay down peacefully and died in sleep. Whatever happens later is just history. Just happened that Pope came, he saw, he conquered.
Indeed.
And there's little they say here, he rose from being a bouncer in a club to being a head of a church. Absolutely. One of the world's strong, biggest church, and headed a country, because Rome is Vatican is a country of its own, has own status of a country. So he is a fulfilled man. Indeed. He died at 88 in active service. He didn't even retire, like some people do. So what else can make someone a saint? Absolutely. May his soul rest in peace. That's all the tribute. Of course, the tribute continues. We still have to do so many things for Pope Francis on Signature Television.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about security and insecurity in Nigeria. Tinubu is to meet service chiefs. Now that he is back, we're hearing that he'd be on his way back to Nigeria today, tomorrow at most. So what kind of meeting do you think that these guys should be having? Because again, I really don't understand why governors would be, voted as, chief security officers of states, and then any little thing they cry to the federal government. I really don't understand that.
I mentioned that yesterday. Okay, you were not. We were discussing with Chigi when we were reviewing newspapers yesterday. We are saying that it's totally wrong. And part of the confused situation in Nigeria is just that Nigeria want to take a leapfrog in growth. But we are not carrying ourselves along with policies and then actively doing it. Because we say we are states. States a perfect federation. States have some level of autonomy to decide what they want to do. You find that in some countries of the world that operate the kind of parliamentary democracy we do, states decide, even in some states, some tariff differ, salaries differ, things, a lot of things, but here we do selective. Because the power that Abuja holds is so absolute and so become that absolute power is what they find difficult to relinquish. At this level of Nigeria, it would be an overstatement to say we need to deregulate powers actively to the states in Nigeria. You know, we need to actively deregulate powers to the states. Let the states have state police, where it becomes then with the federal government police as oversight function. When they need help, they call for it, and of course there will be very clear. We are not inventing democracy or parliamentary democracy in the world. Let's look at as blacksmiths that is learning how to make a metal gong. Let's look at the tail of a kite. And that's what has happened. A lot of our Nigerian leaders travel abroad to where these democracies are well practiced or near well practiced. Why are they not replicating those good lessons they learned? Because when they go there, they fall in line. They will tell you that even they make bold to say some countries of the world are God's own country, where their own country become devil's own country. Why even we're expecting the president to come back, like you said, hoping we are just like all hopes that our father, the president, that's if everybody agrees that is our father, so that I don't have people who say, who told you? But I know that the president of Nigeria, holds that father status of being the father of the nation. Now, if he returns, he has been in France for 19 days. He would tell me how many stories of bandits shooting and killing people he had there, of kidnapping and killings he had in France, of things that are happening that are where non-state actors will cough and the whole nation will catch fire.
Is unfair? There's even saying that
there are the 60 million naira. They have 12 communities, 5 million each, and that may be monthly. And so, as federal government, and we say we have a nation, and they have territorial integrity. That's the kind of word that we hear.
Well, my worry is this current administration, before he took over power, while he was campaigning, he said that state police was important. In fact, all of the three candidates that went for that election said that state police is important. State police is important. I'm shocked that a few months into his administration, his IG of police came and said that state police is not visible and that it will be abused. Pointing hands towards the governors of the state that demand.
I say it, and I'll say it again, Charles. In Southwest, they already perfected state police. Why are they deceiving us? That's more. What is Amoteku? Did you see their parade? Where Governor Adeleke is taking salute? When you see their procession, when you see their guard of honor.
But is it a panacea to this? Because people have also argued that doing state police will not even solve the problem. Because in the Southwest, we still have...
No, but you cannot compare the level of insecurity in other places where we don't have this with where you have Amoteku. So which one is better? But even at that, Amoteku is still hidden under that kind of vigilante thing. But it's operating as a full state police. Let them prove it otherwise. So why are they not encouraging other states to have even what to that level? Do you know that some communities are still living here talking? It's because of these local vigilantes they form.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Some of them carry weapons. And they go to the extent of arresting criminals and handing over to police. And within them, arresting criminals and handing over to the police, you know, and I know, and the people watching know what happens. So what are we talking about? Why going through middleman? If you have a law, you catch criminals, what to do with them? Why catching them, handing them over, and then they hover until they disappear into history? Something is wrong, Charles. Why are we delaying it? Because the federal police we have, the National Assembly members, the presidency, And now the establishment are controlling them. They're using them for their own security. Then me and you are on our own. Whenever people are killed in Nigeria, only here, all those written statements that have been there since the days of good luck, they have carved these messages. The president is sympathize, condemn. Is that what we eat? And people are dying every day. Every day, they are releasing statement of condemning killings. Is that what was, as the condemning killings stopped it? Now there are certain communities who won't enter. Even if they teach people, because the criminals are still perfecting their, but then if you have some people who wake up every day and their duty is to mitigate those criminal activities, is it not better than staying off? The few police we have as federal police are guarding all the people we elected, or the camp we elected them, and they're in authorities. And me and you are just vulnerable. Every day Nigerians are dying. These communities are paying tribute, are paying every day. They will send 60 million to non-state actors. How much are they paying as tax to the government? Not that they pay this thing and they feel free to go to their farms to produce food for the ones who are contributing money to pay these things. Then they have perfected what they call hunger terrorism. Nigeria is heading for until, so you're asking me the agenda of likely things that the president will hold with the state. If these things are not coming up and they're not feeling the way, of course they may not feel the same way. If the general officer commanding or whatever, the chief of army staff, have you seen his motorcade? Even going to Aso Rock, he will still go with the same kind of motorcade. Have you seen the IGP with his motorcade? So why wouldn't they relax and drink tea and speak English over life of Nigerians? And we come here claiming we are over 200 million. It is no more because they have reduced. That's another way they used to reduce the population. If you do actual count of real Nigerians, I don't think we are almost that again. Because terrorism has nibbled into our population and killed people, and we know it. It's not like anybody is talking. We are just saying, let something be done. We are not blaming anybody. If we live in a time where we have terror and banditry, it's the job of the government of that time to take care of that, because you cannot accept to be a leader and decide what you can handle. At any time you find yourself a leader, whatever happened at that time becomes a responsibility. That's all we ask. It's not asking for too much. Let there be decisive action, because all the people have lost interest. Mof Wang, the governor of Plateau State, grazing reserves now occupied by bandits. This is what we're hearing. Governor of the state, who is chief security officer. So if Mof Wang asks me, who I will ask? If like what question he asks, meaning he's just there as crying baby. There's highly constitutionally limited powers of what he can do, and he answered the name of chief security officer.
But the presidency said that they should go and solve the problem.
That is an irony. You don't solve problem. It was you that asked me. People say go defend yourself with what? It's easy to say. So my neighbor is fighting me. Charles, come complain to me. Say, go, Charles, go solve your problem. Is that enough encouragement? I've asked you to go solve your problem. Yes, it means I've given up on you. That's it. It means the president has given up on Rivers State and Benue State, and that means it can be every slave that sees where a fellow slave is buried. I use that analogy. You know that's how it's going to look during your own day. So other state governors are seeing. But now there's something interesting that says here that the presidency is blaming the governors for high state officers.
Yes.
But since this thing started happening, how many governors have you had say anything on insecurity? Make national statement in the papers. Have you had? Since the last 1 year. I've not had any state, especially when they start attacking your state. Like if you didn't get to this level of the Plateau and Benue, you only hear governor mourns, governor condemns. That's how they do. But now he got into a point where he's not just condemning, he's crying. So from crying, the person you are looking up to start crying. What happens to you that is at the lowest ebb of it? what happens? So we still know that the federal government must, since they've owned up and taken over all security apparatus of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and not giving any power to the, or even the empowerment, not just the power, empowerment. How many of the state governors control the armory? And where are the armories? Who? What are they? What do some of the governors not even know what you call AK-47? They've not seen one. They only see their well-starched mopos carrying guns. They don't even know what they're carrying to guard them. Some of the governors do not have power over the police that guard them in the government houses because they don't take command from them. They can only say, "Oga," but when the chiefs are down, the order comes from above, and then you are just living on borrowed ropes. The sooner, the better, because anything, the way it is going.
But again, do you think that these two governors that have been screaming, if this killing, continues, the presidency should consider announcing a state of emergency?
I don't tell the government what they do. After all, when they announced state of emergency in Rivers State, it wasn't me that told them. Now, if the state government, from the point, what we are seeing, the confidence we are giving them, unless the federal government suddenly woke up and start crying like the state governors, the few that have been attacked, if they now say, we are handicapped, we don't know what they let every man, so like some of them have started crying and asked everyone, go and sort yourself out. Then, at that point, it should be made clear that states should have their police. So if we come back here and form our own police, they know how to recruit people and then set everybody to the bushes. Let's fight this war and fight it once and for all. When we come back, we now know whether after fighting the enemies, we come back and fight ourselves. Whatever happened, nothing. But let us sort that rat that is in the bush, that is eating up everything, and they're coming very close home, because the rat at home has told him that there's a bush, there's a rat meat over the fire. This is the issue of Nigeria, and that is a good analogy. Until we do that, if you have a sickness, they say they will do perform a procedure, a surgical procedure, and it will tell you, doctor will tell you it's 50-50. So the choice you have is, do I stay with this sickness to die, or do I take the risk of taking through the surgery 50-50? If I survive, thank God. If I go, I'll die, be die. That is where Nigeria has got into. Because all these talk. And what pains me, there should be a time that the decentralized National Assembly, let all of them come back to their states. Some of them are from my villages. They should live in with us and visit Abuja and go and attend the parliamentary meetings and come back. This idea of providing everything for the state in Abuja doesn't make them see the problem in their localities. Living on borrowed, everything federal government is, we are paying for their houses, paying for their salaries, allowances, pay for their newspaper, pay for the seat they sit, pay for their children's school fees, pay for their wives, pay for their toll gates. To tolls they pay. They sit back in Abuja talking, and they don't know we are dying in the villages. And we say we are one Nigeria. Very soon they will come back asking for vote with this some federal government providing a police to come for campaign and go back to Abuja. If they don't feel what we are feeling, they won't do what they are supposed to do. They won't even cry the way I'm crying. We are now seeing it as insensitivity. Because if you look at where they are in the National Assembly, you will see that how relaxed they are and how they crack jokes over even issues of security. They're not taking it serious, and they're not convinced me they're taking anything serious. And that is where, if you do not dance up Angi Ichida, there's a town in my place, they call it Ichida. They do a masquerade, they call it Anga. If you don't dance up Angi Ichida, like you are mad, nobody will know you are dancing up Angi Ichida. The issue of insecurity in Nigeria has gotten to the point, everybody, every right-thinking Nigeria should dance it like Anga Ichida, so that we make impression. Otherwise, we'll be laughing and we miss it like a useless village that their people are missing one by one. They are laughing. That they are discussing and laughing. They all finish. Before they know it, they have no left and 5 persons left. That's when they realize they're asking for, where is Okoye? Where is okay? Hey, where is one? They now find out the ball. That's when they start on, and at that point it was late. The way this security is going in Nigeria, it will get to a point. 12 communities paying rent, which they didn't. It's not all. The ones that were not reported, people paying non-state actors, because this is high. If you go and gather one vulnerable village, and they're getting you 60 million every month, what other business do you need to do in Nigeria? Which other business, even if you own a bank, banks don't make that amount in a month. And that's what few people gather and then we sit here, we're talking, and the federal government doesn't. The same people, after paying this one, they will still, the state government will want to be paid. The federal government will want to be paid by the same set of people. That's killing. Charles, with this, I don't know. But each time I want to, not to spoil my day, Charles, you come with issues to spoil my day. God bless Nigeria. What else can we do?
God bless Nigeria indeed. Anyways, we are back after this to discuss further on some topical issues we are following for you. The death of the very humble Pope Francis, and of course all other issues as it relates to the polity. We're back after this. Just stay with us.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges, completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.